Welcome back to the ultimate Cleveland sports show. And guys, here on WKYC, guys, we just did, if you missed it, we just did a segment on what if with the Browns. And Gene Bush said, what if the Browns hadn't been stolen from Cleveland? Well, now it's time for the Guardians/Indians. And, this one's a pretty obvious one. Even though you don't know for sure what would have happened. What if there had not been the rain delay in Game 7 of the World Series? And I know most fans feel the Indians would have won the game. Obviously, we'll never know. It was a short rain delay. Was it 30 minutes? 20, I can't even remember exactly how long it was. I'm sure there's some people that remember it to the minute.
Yeah, it seemed like forever.
But, famously, and part of the Indians obviously had the momentum coming back. Rajai Davis' home run off Aroldis Chapman. But also, famously, when the rain delay happened, the Cubs went back to the clubhouse and they were despondent. And Jason Hayward kind of rallied the troops at that point. So, again, do we know for sure that the Indians would have won the game? How could we possibly know that? But if it hadn't been for the rain delay, I know at the time I thought the Indians were going to win.
I thought it was over.
And had they won, it would have changed everything.
Yeah.
It would have changed everything. First of all, Cleveland would have had back-to-back championships in July, August, 4 months. 4 months. After no championships, you would have had two in 4 months.
In the most exciting fashion ever.
2 Game 7s.
Two Game 7s.
Against, in one case, an iconic team in Golden State, and in one case, an iconic franchise against the Cubs. And it would have, for the Dolan family, changed their reputation forever.
Absolutely.
And
they would have been hands down. When we had these polls, who's the best ownership in town? They would win easily every time had they won that championship.
They had young players. They had, and at the time they were relatively young. You look at it. The problem I had was, wasn't it a reverse of what the Cavs did? The Cavs were down 3-1.
Yeah, right. They blew a 3-1 lead.
And you couldn't have told me. When the Indians went up 3-1, I knew it was. I was like, it's over. They got, and boy, them was the 3 of the longest games. And then it all flipped on his head when we hit the home run. And I'm like, oh yeah, we got these dudes right now. And then all of a sudden, it rains, and it was.
The flip side to the Cubs story about how they called everyone in and rallied the troops, and they settled everyone down. It was like a perfect timeout at the perfect time.
Right.
The Indians at the time, we went back to their clubhouse.
They were prepared for the champagne.
And they were prepared for the champagne. They had World Series champs banners hanging all over the locker.
Yeah, right.
And the players were like, just like everything sinking into the moment because you had to prepare.
Right. And baseball players are superstitious.
Yeah.
And you see that, there's guys like, oh, that's bad luck.
Yeah.
Or so that's a jinx or
they
whatever.
had all of the lockers covered with the wrap. Because you have to, in baseball, the game can end like that with the home team winning, and you don't have time. They want to go in there and celebrate.
Man.
So they had the whole thing covered. And then the one other thing that I thought was interesting when you talk about the rain delay, it didn't rain. It never really rained.
Did it?
No.
I thought it rained for like a few minutes.
It was not enough to call the game.
Yeah.
So I went back and found the quote, because we actually wrote about this at The Athletic during the pandemic. We had nothing to write about.
Yeah.
We did a story on what if it didn't rain. We found this quote. Zach Meisel and I found this quote. John Hirschbeck talked to our Ken Rosenthal during the broadcast.
Yeah.
He said, we've been talking for the last couple of innings. This storm, we thought it might miss us, but at the last second, when the inning was getting ready to start, he said it's going to hit us. And in this situation, we don't want to take any chances. We don't want to have them play now in the 7th game of the World Series in extra innings. The score and the conditions aren't right. So just to keep the field perfect, we'll cover it and wait this out. It never really rained that hard. They easily could have played through.
Right, yeah.
And why is it the
not to cut you off, I've heard stories of Indians players walking up and down the dugout going, where's the rain? Where's the rain? Like it was.
So they were kind of stressed by it. Where for the Cubs it was a break.
I don't know if they were stressed by it. I think they were stressed by seeing the wrap in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I think they were angry.
Right. There was so there was a frustration level.
Yeah.
So that, I was going to just ask, why is it the thought process that it was a foregone conclusion that the Indians were going to win that game? Was it just the momentum factor?
The momentum.
It's like we just had that home run. There's no way they are done mentally. We're about to win this game.
I think it's the momentum. It's the momentum of the Cubs being the Cubs, and here we go again. We're going to lose this in the most dramatic
That's what I
fashion
thought
possible
at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, because Chapman was throwing 1,000 miles an hour when he.
Yeah, but he was tired. He was gassed.
Oh God, they so overused him.
I mean, it was one of the most improbable home runs, and I think again. I'm not going to say the Guardians never really recovered from that, but I thought they had a better team the next year.
They did.
17, they doubled down, they spent more money, and I thought that team was better than the 16.
Yeah,
it was.
And it didn't.
They've mostly disappointed in the playoffs since then. That team had no business getting to the World Series.
All.
They had 2 pitchers.
Three. Cody Allen.
Cody Allen, Kluber,
and Andrew Miller.
And Andrew Miller.
That was it.
And they wasted his lifetime. Like Andrew Miller, after he played for the Indians, he was finished.
Yeah.
He just walked off into the sunset like a Jedi mind trick.
Well, we talked on the YouTube show about LeBron bringing in the player empowerment era.
Yeah.
Terry Francona revamped the use of bullpens. Like, he's the reason that you see
World
what you
Series,
see
well,
now.
both of them, both Madden and Francona, that series went crazy with bringing in the bullpen early.
But I mean, Tito did it the entire playoffs. He had Ryan Merritt starting against Toronto.
I hated pulling Kyle Hendricks when they did for the Cubs in Game 7. He was fun. He was just dominating.
Yeah.
And but also just you think about the way the fans are so frustrated by the Guardians' lack of spending, which I'm with them.
Yeah.
But if you'd won so many of the narratives about the Indians/Guardians go away if you win that World Series.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
It goes away.
And that's the thing. The Dolans wouldn't have done anything differently.
No.
But yet they'd be viewed so dramatically
100%,
differently.
because you got that championship.
Yeah.
Because then you say, because people are like, yeah, they went to 3 World Series, but they didn't win. But then it's they went to 3 World Series and they won one.
Well,
it's totally different.
Well, they would have been vindicated.
Not that the Dolans were there for the first 2.
They would have been vindicated by the thought process that in baseball, you can get lucky a little bit. So if you don't got the money, you don't got the funds, you can run into a hot team at the right time and you can win a couple championships. I still don't know how the Giants was winning. Giants won some championships. I was just like, I don't know who was on their team at all.
They won 3 in 5 years.
That's crazy.
And they had a higher payroll than but the Indians at the time, their payroll wasn't that low. They were closer to middle of the pack then than they are now.
I mean, yes, fair.
They were probably like 20th in payroll instead of 28th or whatever they are now.
They brought in Bourne and Swisher a couple years before that. Encarnacion.
Encarnacion was after.
But at least there were some names you could say, oh, they was doing this. There were some names there. Now,
yeah, and imagine they had won the World Series. Like, we were excited when they signed Encarnacion, but imagine that had been coming off a World Series, and you're like, look at them. Now they're spending money. They won the World Series. It would have been, such a totally different thought. I think you're right. Ultimately, they wouldn't have done anything differently. Obviously, COVID affected them somewhat. Some of that's been used as an excuse.
Yeah.
And some of it's legit. But, yeah.